Okay, in this video I'm going to share with you another kind of habit of mine that isn't something I consciously do like all the time, but I've spent a fair amount of time doing it, and so it's kind of there underneath everything, and then I regularly refresh this. Okay, so this is an including of things that are happening in my life that are not personal to me, but once included, give me this feeling of absolute freaking joy that I'm alive and that I'm me being alive. Okay, so before I get to it though, I want to touch upon some sort of philosophical questions that are out there hanging in the air, and so people that are interested in this reality speak and spirituality or whatever, they generally have these ideas about things that are somewhat integrated in my outlook. So one of the fundamental questions is whether or not consciousness is something that's generated by the brain, and that it's a byproduct of just a DNA and an evolutionary process. There's nothing more than just the brain, and there seems to be a lot of evidence for that because we don't have consciousness in dreamless sleep, and we don't have it under anesthesia, and people who basically die, maybe they drown and then they're dead and then they get resuscitated, they'll often report nothing. So there's a fair amount of sort of evidence there's that the human brain is actually ultimately the seat of consciousness awareness. But then that can't actually be proven. It's possible that it's ambient. The brain is sort of a kind of tuning fork or radio that's using an ambient awareness, consciousness. I say they're different. I think awareness is an ingredient in consciousness, but that's just my thing, not to get into that. And so some people feel that there's something else out here. It's not just them personally generating this conscious field. And then there's another question of, like, is there even anybody else out here? Is there anyone at all? Or is that kind of an illusion because there's no proof? So, when I get up and I wake up, suddenly the world appears and all the characters appear in it. And when I go to sleep, they all disappear. So that stuff is arising and disappearing with me, with my conscious experience, with just this individuated seeming consciousness. The whole world appears. So is the world and is the universe really apart from it, or is it actually just one and the same? This is a question that people have. Of course, there's a lot of evidence. We see people that die and then we know we're still here, so we're like, no, that's crazy. Like, obviously there's other people and there's a universe out there. It's not somehow weirdly like entwined with me. But some of the latest science suggests that maybe it is, that there is just sort of these seemingly individuated universes, and there's only that's the way it goes down. There's no objective universe out there. And then ideas that the universe is multiplexed through it's wild and crazy, but you know what? We really don't have to have that pinned down or have a really strong opinion about that one way or the other to benefit from this thing that I want to share with you. Okay, so you were born alone into this world. You had to hack getting birthed by yourself. Right now you're in the center of this experiencing. Nobody can do it for you. There's not a little man that goes up there in your head or a little woman that goes up in your head. I notice that I constantly say he and man, so I'm going to try to correct that. So there's not a little woman that's up there in your head that's helping you and holding your hand as you go through your breakups and stuff like that. You got to do it on your own. And we check out on our own. We die on our own. And so we go from non-existence, it seems, to non-existence. And then in between, there's some tough stuff that we got to manage. And we got to manage it essentially on our own. People can help us, but we got to feel it on our own. Nobody can do that for us. Okay, so if you actually look at what is required for you to have whatever that glorious experience of being alive is, making love, eating food, traveling to an exotic place, having a warm cup of coffee or whatever, the fact of the matter is that your providence in that, your contribution to these things that are serving you constantly throughout the day is the tiniest little piece. And in fact, you're being served by the universe in such a complete and unfathomably intricate way that you have to acknowledge that this gift you've been given is extraordinary, and you have to acknowledge it's been given and that you're the recipient, and you have to honor yourself for being worthy of this gift that has been given to you. And what is this gift? I mean, it's okay, even in your body. Researchers discovered, I don't know, 10 years ago, that I guess in mapping the gene pool of the human, that in fact 53% of your DNA is not actually human. It's only 47% human DNA. 53% is microbes and bacteria and viruses and all this other stuff that have to be there in order for cells to excrete their wastes and have it carried away, and for, diseases to be back so you don't die from the next cold you get, and on and on and on. Your blood pressure. I can't even imagine all the things that are involved in it. But even in this idea that like you yourself are physically going around taking care of business for yourself is ridiculous, because actually you're the smaller part of the physicality that's doing that shit. Actually, it's all this other stuff. And without it, you would crumple to the floor right now dead, and you'd be like a pile of goo. So all of these creatures, all of these autonomous actions that take place at the cellular level that are required for you to take your next breath, even within your own body. Without that symphony of stuff, you're toast. Now, moving outside the skin suit in the body, you think about it, it's insane. The percentage of oxygen that has to be in the air, the tilt of the planet that has to be just so, the maintenance of the magnetic field that has to be just so, the turning of the earth, it goes on and on. Cosmically, we're a very rare situation here. We're looking out into deep space to see if we can find another one, but we can see that right now from where I stand, it's light years in any direction before there's another situation that's allowing this freaking fun conscious experience in all its complexity to happen. That's up at the cosmic level. But now you come down and bring it into your ordinary life, and you think about all the things that you enjoy every single day. You reach into that refrigerator, and some guy named Carrier invented refrigeration. So now you're able to have foods from all over the world that you're able to prepare and enjoy. Your cup of coffee that comes from Peru, you pull the creamer out, and some guy learned how to pasteurize that so it didn't go rancid. And now, it's in a grocery store that somebody else, built, and they had all this technology that went in there. And then you got in your car and you went and got that little, pint of milk in your car, and that was a whole nother level of people. You're standing on the shoulders of generations and generations of humans that have made it easier to live without as much suffering. People aren't dying in childbirth like they used to. We're not dying from diseases that we used to die from so easily. You got infected, they cut the arm off, and you bit down on something. I mean, we are all living like gods. Like, I don't care whether or not you're living in a trailer and you got a kind of beat up car, you're still living like a god compared to what freaking Pharaoh lived like maybe, 3,000 years ago. Yeah, Pharaoh had slaves and they had some cool shit. But they didn't have like all the world's information on a little tablet right here that you can go and educate yourself, or you got anything you want to learn, or all the music that you could ever want to listen to, or, they weren't able to be whisked around in a vehicle. They had maybe people carrying them on their shoulder very slowly, maybe a few miles or whatever. But I mean, even if you're just like, somebody that doesn't have that much stuff, and, you look on your own situation and you feel like it's no great shakes, it's still extraordinary. The stuff that you're enjoying, and it's all there for you. There is no proof that there's someone else. There might be. There's no proof that, you're just a flesh body with this consciousness creating thing. We're all making up We're myth-making machines. We're all making up what the fuck is going on here. And how we make that up is going to have an impact on how we feel about ourselves and how we feel about our average day. And I say if the science doesn't, conclusively suggest something that is going to make me feel shittier about myself and my day, I got science that can support me either way. The healthy human being is going to embrace the quite possible reality that this is all here serving me. In fact, it is. In fact, I am able to drive my car. I am able to have the cream in my coffee. So I'm going to take it in. I'm not going to push it away in this oh, that's bullshit. No, I'm being served by the whole universe. So how can it be that you're just a no-account nobody who's not that big a deal if the whole universe is here serving you? I mean, I see you for what you are. And the question is, can we see ourselves for what we are? And what we're extraordinary and we're lucky and we're gifted and we're being served. So that feeling is what's going on here. Plus this gratitude for simply being alive and recognizing that all of that's part of who I am. And then attending to that, refreshing that, talking about that, with my partner and my friends, preferring to think about those things instead of what the attention vampires are wanting us to think about. And I'm going to be getting into attention later. This is something that's very important, where we put our attention. But this sort of thing is a building block in my own well-being. So I thought it was important to share it with you, and thanks for checking it out.